Hey guys, so today I'm going to be looking at more Am I Wrong stories. Yeah, let's just get right into the video. I live with my dad, his wife Hannah, Hannah's daughter Grace, and our younger brother. Grace really only comes to stay on the weekends since she's in college, and this time she brought her boyfriend Isaac with her. I'm biracial, my dad is white and my mum is black. Honestly, I don't look anything like my dad, so most people don't even think I'm mixed. We like to joke that I got his personality instead of his looks. People tend to say offhanded stuff to me about how I don't look the way they think I'm supposed to. I'm kind of used to it, especially since my dad ended up married to a woman that is also white, so like every time I'm with them, it obviously looks like I'm the odd one out. I'm not afraid to correct people, but sometimes that gets exhausting and I'll just play dumb instead. Grace and I had planned to get lunch together and her boyfriend Isaac ended up coming along with us. She wants him and I to get to know each other better since she really likes him, so I figured that's why she brought him. While we were having lunch, my mum's side of the family was brought up, and then Isaac said that it must have been a shock to my dad, at least for me, to end up so dark, since most mixed kids are lighter in complexion than I am. But then he said that at least I ended up with good hair, so I didn't lose out completely. Grace didn't speak up and say anything to him about it, so I pretended not to understand what he meant and asked what was so good about my hair and what it was he thought I was losing out on anyway. He got flustered and said, well, you know, most girls like your skin tone have curlier hair. So then I asked why he thought my hair was good just because it wasn't that curly. He said he felt it just looked nicer. So I asked why he thought that textured hair didn't look just as nice. He kept blubbering out excuses and digging the hole even deeper for himself. And finally, Grace told me to cut it out and leave him alone. Grace, don't stoop to your boyfriend's level. Oh my god. Cut it out? Really? Are you defending this racist piece of this? I paid for my part of the lunch and left after that. I didn't tell my dad or Hannah what happened, but it's obvious enough that Grace is mad at me. My dad asked that she and I solve whatever the problem is, because he hates seeing us to be so tense around each other. Grace ended up telling me that she was pissed because I made her boyfriend look like a jerk by playing dumb. I told her that I didn't have to make him look like a jerk because he already was one, but she said that I drew the problem out more than necessary and made it worse than it needed to be when I could have just told him that he effed up. I mean, I could have done that, but I don't think it should be my job to. And plus, I feel like it was probably more effective to get him to explain his logic out loud rather than have me tell him he was being a jerk. Grace is insisting that I should have told him point blank, and because I didn't, she thinks I'm the jerk. What the heck is wrong with Grace? Grace and her boyfriend. Poo-poo heads, honestly. Trash. No, I think this person was right to do that. Making them explain themselves again so they realize how effed up they sound by saying that. And they realize they're actually racist. Honestly, it's just the same when someone insults you and you ask them to explain it because you don't understand it and they're like, oh, I mean, yeah, never mind. Yeah. I thought so. Isaac, that freaking boyfriend knew what he was saying by saying that. Can you imagine making someone feel inferior just because they were born that way? As if. Good on her, standing up for herself when Grace didn't want to stand up for her. Seriously, Grace? That's your sister. Alright, moving on. I'm hosting Thanksgiving this year and everyone is excited. My house is a warm location near beaches, so everyone in the family is excited to get out of the cold and dig the toes into sand. My family is large and as expected, we all fall under different parts of the political spectrum. We might not agree with each other on some issues, but we treat each other with respect and love. That is, except for my sister, Carrie, and her husband, Bob. They strongly believe in their politics and view anyone who doesn't agree with them as being wrong and need to be taught to be correct. Even family members who are in the same political party are wrong if they're not in 100% agreement on every issue. Every get-together turns into a heated debate with them on one side against everyone else, even with the people who vote as they do. Frankly, it's exhausting and life-draining just to be in the same room as them. To head off any political debate this year, I included in the invitation email a ban on political discussions and a request for a monetary deposit of $500. I picked this amount because everyone can afford it, but I wanted it to be a painful loss if they lose it. I stated that this money will be returned at the end of the night if politics are not discussed. Whoever brings up politics will lose their deposit. Everyone agreed and sent the money except for Carrie and Bob. They replied that this was stupid and they don't have to pay a deposit to come to a family gathering. I answered, since it's my house, it's my rules. We went back and forth until I got tired of it and uninvited them. I'm here because they have children who will be affected by my decision, and my parents are trying to talk me out of it. They want to see all the grandchildren and they think it's cruel to prevent Carrie's from coming. They even offered to cover Carrie's deposit, but I firmly told them no. Was I wrong for requiring a deposit to come to Thanksgiving? I don't think so, because, yeah, like they said, it's their house, their rules. They can set any rule they want, and if you break the rule, then, don't go then. Don't come. Get out. It's obviously not this person's problem, though, because it is their house, and plus everyone else paid. So the only two who didn't want to pay are pretty much the big problems. If they talk about political stuff every year and everyone ends up fighting, that's not a fun gathering to be at. You want to be at a peaceful gathering where no one is arguing. Oh my gosh. When family members argue, that's like the most heated argument ever. Alright, moving on. Context. For every holiday, my mother would ask the women in the family, my sisters, sister-in-law, my wife, my female cousins, to send samples of the desserts they plan to bring to the celebration for testing and to see if these desserts could make it to the food menu. My wife has been complaining about my mother deliberately rejecting every dessert sample she sent. So many times my mother has told her that she's being honest and keeping the guest's best interest at heart. Yet my wife still thought that my mother is deliberately excluding her since 2 of her dessert samples were rejected before. For this year's Christmas, my mother is doing the same thing, but this time she told every woman who are participating to make a cookie sample and send it to her for testing. My wife took it as a challenge, and to be honest, she worked really hard to make a good sample and send it to my mother days ago, and the results just came in yesterday. I came home from work and found my wife upset. I asked what's wrong, and she told me that my mother rejected the sample she sent and decided to exclude her baking from the food list and menu for Christmas this year. I didn't know what to say, but she then told me she was backing out of the invitation to attend Christmas with my family. I was stunned when I heard her make this statement. I tried to talk to her, but she said it was done. I called her unreasonable to decide to bail on the whole family over some cookie sample. That's just freaking crazy and quite unreasonable. We had a full-on argument about it, and she stated that my mother caused this, but I told her that my mother is pretty serious and careful about the food she offers to the guests since we are going to have relatives coming from all sides of the country. She told me to stop mentioning it. Later, I heard her cry despite telling her that her baking is amazing and people have preferences, that's all. Was I wrong for insisting that her decision was unreasonable? What the heck is with that mum though? Why do you need samples to see what dessert tastes the best? If someone is cooking for you, you should be happy. What? I just don't get that, honestly. Imagine your mother-in-law being like, you better send me a sample before I can put that on the table, because if it's disgusting, then it shouldn't be on the table. I don't care if you spent effort on that. I don't care. It has to taste good. Like, come on now. No one would want to be that person's daughter-in-law. Jeez. And the husband, seriously? You're letting your mum treat your wife like that? And it's so funny how the mother would only ask the women in the family to send samples, like to cook, The men can't do it. Honestly, I feel like if her son did this, she would accept the sample right away. That's the vibe I'm getting from this mother-in-law. Jeez, I feel so bad for the wife. Like, she wasn't even picked for 1 year. None of the years she was picked. Obviously, someone's going to be upset. Like, you spend your whole heart cooking and you send a sample in, and then your mother-in-law is like, nope, not good enough. Yeah, I wouldn't be cooking for that family. Yeah, no thank you. And then this person is going to tell his wife off? Come on now. Come on. Your mum is unreasonable and you know that. Well, that's it for the video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Tell me in the comments down below what your thoughts are. And as always, thanks for watching. Hope you guys liked it, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!